So, what is the appeal of somebody who Crystal and I are fortunate enough to know, who's #1 podcaster in the world, Joe Rogan? What
Oh
makes him the
gosh.
best?
No, we have like 7 videos on him. He actually has a lot. I don't know. Do you want to start? If not, I'm happy to.
He is. I think the person that we've done the most times because there is really a lot. So I'll let you start.
Yeah, he does something that most people struggle with, which is he is interesting to listen to and good at asking questions and listening. And most people, charismatically, they fall into the one or two camps. So they'll be incredible entertainers, but not necessarily people that are good at just listening and asking questions and maintaining good eye contact. And he can get his ego out of the way, listen to a story, even when he disagrees, bite his tongue, which leads to his guests getting to say incredibly interesting things, which makes him a good podcast host. And at the same time, there's clips of him standing up for himself in a way that people would normally feel very uncomfortable doing, which makes you respect him. Because I think a lot of times there's a feeling of respect anytime you see someone do something that you know you would be too afraid to do. And that can be giving a big speech, approaching someone that you're intimidated to approach, like a boss or someone attractive, or just standing up for themselves. And then he's a stand-up comic. So as much as people might say he's not the best stand-up comic, he is a funny, happy guy. He laughs very easily. He makes guests feel good because of how smiley and laughy he is. So I think he just happens to do a lot of things. And then this is a separate thing. He likes MMA, psychedelics. He knows a lot about fitness, and he loves archaeology and science, and he loves conspiracy theories. So he just happens to have a genuine interest in topics that people find interesting, whereas most people are more one note. So if you're a musician, you might be able to talk someone's ear off about music, but once they bring up sports, you kind of go blank. And he's happy to talk to you about whatever you like, whether it's evolutionary science, psychedelics, sports, anything really. He's just someone who has a large breadth of topics that he finds fascinating, which means he can engage with a lot more people than the one-note interviewers can.
Yeah. I think one of the things you said there is important too. Like, he's authentically interested in those topics. So he's not just like picking things that he thinks other people are going to be interested in. He just happens to be interested in things that a lot of people are very interested in. And even with him, when he's going down a rabbit hole of something I'm not that into, he makes it compelling, or he has people on that make the topic compelling.
Yeah, I mean, I think he does a really good job of being the everyman, which means he can bring on, if Neil deGrasse Tyson goes on an interview with a PhD physicist as the interviewer, some of us might not track what's happening for very long because they'll get into the weeds. And what Joe can do is be genuinely interested in the topic, not know much about it, and so have a conversation that is interesting for other people to observe. Because podcasting is about being a good conversationalist, but it's also about being someone people like to watch having a conversation. And those are actually two different skills.
Yeah. You guys mentioned his authenticity, and I think I don't know him. Maybe you guys can speak to this, but having had the background both in combat sports and stand-up comedy, those are two of the scariest things that a human being can engage in, at least in America, where things are relatively safe. And a lot of being a good conversationalist, or at least the authentic part of conversation, is about having courage. And so he is able to assertively, without aggressively, disagree with people. And he doesn't need to get in your face and be on top of you. But I remember, like, for instance, there's a Dave Rubin clip there. He's talking to him about building codes, and he assertively disagrees with him in that clip. And he doesn't hide the fact that he strongly disagrees. He doesn't make it soft for him, but he also doesn't say, I like that this is, he doesn't shout him down, I suppose, is the answer. Whereas some people, when they are either at a zero disagreement, totally compliant and friendly, or they snap and then they are all in your face. I think that the courage that he's probably developed from those activities spills over and is what makes him so authentic. And I think it's also what is felt threatening to some people about the Spotify deal, is that would go away, that if he got a ton of money. And I've seen some of it, and I've seen him at least continue to be authentic in what I've watched.
We both know exactly what Dave Rubin, your clip you're talking about, and probably everyone listening also does. And yeah, he doesn't have to get like yelly or use personal insults to absolutely own Rubin in that moment.
Yeah, and then he just moves on too. It's not like he lingers. Like some people, some people, once there's the disagreement, it's like they'll linger on it, and it's just like you can feel the energy of it. But no, he'll like disagree, be on the record, and then it's like, all right, let's talk about something else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a smooth transition. So tell me why Russell Brand is charismatic.
He's one of my favorites. I have a man crush on Russell Brand. So one of the interesting things about him is, if Ben mentioned John Krasinski has a lot of the same stories. If you listen to people who do the talk show routes, they have the same stories, and that they've learned to tell, that have the same beats, and they can become, you realize they're not as spontaneous as you thought they were when you first watched them.
Oh yeah, Bill Burr actually takes bits and performs them on interviews, and when he's going, you think he's having an organic rant, and you go, wow. This guy is so funny and quick on his feet. And then you realize that he's actually taking a bit from his stand-up and monologuing it.
And he is so funny. It's just
he's hilarious. I like Bill. I like Bill Burr, but he makes it seem like he's coming up with it on the spot purposefully. Yeah, that's part of his performance on talk shows.
Sure. So Russell is he's a joy for me to watch, because he's so spontaneous, and I truly think that he is a genius. There's a number of clips, and one day I might do more of them, where he monologues and plays a character and invents things. His vocabulary is so precise and perfect. I'm sure that it's not perfect. It's very precise, though. Yeah. He, in addition to that, is because of his comedic background, he's very unlikely to take questions literally. Like we're right on this. You asked me a question about Russell Brand. I mostly answer very literally. When he's presented with a question, he will find a way to play with the words in a way that upsets expectations. And that's a complicated way of saying that he's funny. That's really what jokes are, is when you surprise someone with the way that you respond in a given situation in a way that is pleasant and not destructive. So he's extremely good at that. And then the other thing that, back in his more single days, he was if there's clips of him on YouTube where he has this comfortability with his sexuality that is, it's magnetic. I think that as a society, we tend to be very stuffy, very concerned. Rejection feels horrifying to so many people. And he was so comfortable being this strange, large-haired, leather-clad dude just exuding sexuality. And it made him magnetic to I think, a lot of people. I love him.
Do you think he's more polarizing than a lot of others on the list, though? Because I do sort of get that sense from him. What do you think?
Yeah. Yes. And I do think that if people spent as much time as I had watching his videos, he's difficult to dislike. But certainly as an avatar, right? When you look at the old Russell Brand with that big hair and the outlandishness, it's off-putting at first. And that's one of the things that can be difficult with charisma, is that, Donald Trump, one of the best ways to get a lot of people to like you is to make sure that a lot of people dislike you. It is to stand strongly in one particular camp.
It doesn't mean if a lot of people dislike you that a lot of people automatically like you, which I think can be easy to confuse. But
damn it,
it's necessary.
That was my strategy.
But why is that? Because you do actually. I mean, this actually helps me develop a theory on Kamala Harris, because you do see this with a lot of politicians, where they try to be liked by everybody.
And then everybody hates them.
And they end up being hated by everyone. I mean, Hillary Clinton, you could make, the case that was part of her problem too.
Well, I think the big thing that makes people love you, not just like you and say, oh yeah, I like that guy as an acquaintance, but love you, is when you stand for something. It's when you stand for an idea or an ideal that people find draws them in. And so when we were starting Charisma on Command, we were very loud about this concept that we had just discovered, that was, maybe you don't need a 9-to-5 that you don't like. You can take a passion and turn it into a business. And we're going to move to Brazil and start this company and quit our private equity and consulting jobs. And at the time, that made a lot of people think we were crazy. It pushed a lot of people away, but also it drew a lot of people to us who also felt dissatisfied with the rat race and the 9-to-5. And I think when you stand for something strongly, it draws people to you very intensely, and also inherently pushes people away. And so I think a lot of times charismatic people like Trump or Russell Brand, that's what they do, is they polarize. And that is both the magnet that draws them in is the magnet that pushes other people away.
Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.